Okay. I had a weird series of dreams. This one was tough to remember as well, but the last one was pretty distinct. I was like physically chased by this girl for a really, really long distance. She's like on the shorter side, maybe like average build. Um, and she like pursued me a really long distance. We were running about the same pace, but she eventually caught up to me. I was almost to my house, so I kind of slowed down to meet her in this like neutral spot, kind of like a corner of a three-way intersection. But we were on the sidewalk. I just turned around and was like, "What do you want?" And she was like, "I don't know." She was really smooth and like transitioned it into like kind of wanting. Was it my number? I don't know. She like hit on me a little bit, but like I don't know. She also confronted me, and I don't really remember what the confrontation was. It was like smooth. It was very smooth. And I was just like, okay. So, in summary, she chased me physically, caught up to me, then kind of like chased me weirdly in a intimate, romantic way, kind of more like hit on me, kind of. And I thought it was odd. And then pursued me in terms of like career, and she was just like, I think I know how to fix this thing you're doing. It was such a weird transition. And like, she had some background, I guess, in computer programming all of a sudden. And like, had her computer and took it out, but like, how did we both didn't have our computers, and all of a sudden we both had our computers in the car, which was weird because we were not driving, we were running. It was bizarre. And she was showing me like some code that would be able to do some kind of long range communication device. But what for? It was for something. I think it was related to a project I was working on, even though the project I'm working on is not like a multiplayer game. It's not a program that requires long range communication. It's not like a cell phone or anything like that. Um, it was very weird. And then she asked for a cigarette, and I was like, no, I don't smoke cigarettes. And then she just like, okay. And I kind of like had to talk her out of smoking cigarettes, which is such a weird thing. Like, not something I'd normally do. Um, and then she like kissed me or something. It was the weirdest thing. And I was like, I felt like this was not like I was supposed to reject her, but I didn't. But I was like, I don't know. And she was just like, well, anytime you want to, like, do the thing, we can do it. And I was like, what? And it was just so weird. And I was like, I don't think we're going to do the thing. And then, but it was very nice and friendly, which was strange because at first it was scary. I was like running through a neighborhood, like, I was like, why is this person chasing me? So it went from like weird, scary to weird, friendly, or too friendly, if you know what I mean. With this like bizarre health component, and I was just like, how did she catch up to me if she smokes like a chimney? Anyway, apparently she was just in better shape than me for running, especially. Now that I think about it, she reminds me of this girl I went to high school with named Kendra, who is a very odd person. This person was like one of the very first people I ever smoked weed with. But it wasn't really Kendra, but it just looked like a relative of hers. Like, it looked very much like her, like a Hispanic or like native type of look, kind of appearance. I didn't really think about that in the dream. I can see her face still, like looking back. One thing that's weird is now that I'm doing this dream journal, I can remember the episodes of being in the dream now. Like I don't even need to close my eyes, and I can see the episodic memory. Like, what I mean by that is I can hear my footsteps running on the pavement, and I can see myself actually running through, like, past these houses and stuff. And that was a little weird because, like, before I had to squint and close my eyes and really, really think about it to try and put myself back in that position. Now, my dream journal is working in a way where it's a lot easier to remember this stuff. So if I do have more invention-y type dreams, it'll be easier to pull them out and record them and remember them, which doesn't always happen, but I do get sometimes technology in my dreams, and that can be fun to try and copy or to try and rebuild. I could either, like, sometimes I'll write them down or draw them out 2D, or sometimes I actually will build them out in 3D in, like, Blender or something simple. Nothing too crazy. I don't have CAD software, at least not anymore, I don't think, anywhere, so I wouldn't be using that. But what a weird dream. I don't particularly enjoy being chased. I don't think anybody enjoys being chased in a dream. It's unnerving. But it was super friendly. It was really strange. I remember crumbling up like, there's like a cigarette butt in my hand, and I remember crumbling it up so that way a couple of, like, the, brown orangey tobacco filaments were coming out of the cigarette butt, and I had just that, and I dropped the butt, and then I just had the tobacco in my hand between my fingers, and she stared at it. She was like that really got her attention. She was just, like, looking at it like, don't waste that. Like, she didn't say that, but I could see it in her eyes. Like, she was like, you're not gonna smoke that. And I was just, like, feeling it in my hand. That was really weird. I used to have a tobacco addiction, but I hadn't been addicted to cigarettes in a very long time. I stopped smoking cigarettes in high school completely. I only had it for a while. Here's another funny dream that I just remembered from back when I was smoking cigarettes. So I had this really crazy lucid dream back when I was quitting cigarettes. Actually, not quite. Well, maybe. So I think it's like 16-ish, or maybe it was like 17-ish. And my parents had found out I was smoking cigarettes, and they were pissed about it, of course, because, like, I was supposed to be the goody two-shoes Catholic, and now my purity was being violated by engaging in some substance exploration. And so and I also had expressed that I didn't like cigarettes. Like, I told them, like, they had found a pack of cigarettes in my bag, or I left it somewhere, or they saw it in a trash can, actually, and they were like, what the hell is this? And I was like, or actually, they didn't. They already knew that I'd smoked because they could smell cigarettes on me, but they were upset that they saw the pack, and they confronted me. This is not a dream. And they confronted me in real life, and they asked me, how many of these do you smoke a day? And I was like 1 or 2, or no, like, not packs, like cigarettes, like I don't know, like a couple of cigarettes a day. I don't, like, you don't smoke like a pack a day? And I was like, no. And they were like, well, you're gonna quit, we're gonna buy you the patch. And they did. And so they went, my dad is a pharmacist, he brought a nicotine patch home from the store at my mom's request, who was very adamant and upset and insistent that I quit immediately, because we were also about to go to visit family in another state. Like, we're gonna drive to another state. We're actually gonna stay at a hotel halfway, because we're gonna leave late in the day, and this journey was gonna take 10 hours. And so we did like 5 hours. We left after school, which is like 2, 3, 4 p.m. in the afternoon. Early that day, or maybe right then after school, I don't remember, but it was after school. I put the patch on for the first time, and immediately I felt euphoria and kind of sick at the same time with all of the nicotine. And I told my parents, I'm like, oh, I think it's too much. I think there's too much nicotine on this patch. And they're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I feel kind of sick. And they're like, okay, we'll just get through it. Like, there's 3 steps to the patch, like 3, 2, and 1. It's like a very small amount of nicotine is like, I don't know if it's A, B, and C, or 1, 2, and 3, but like the 3rd step is the lowest amount, and the 1st step is the highest amount, and like the 1st step is like more than a pack a day. It's like 2 or more packs a day or something, even really high. And the 2nd one is like about a pack a day or so. And then the 3rd step is just like the equivalent of a couple cigarettes a day. And so I should have started on that third step, but my dad brought home the second one because he wasn't sure. I think he didn't believe me. And he didn't want me, like, he didn't believe how much I was smoking at the time. He thought I was smoking more. And so he didn't want me to crash, transitioning to the patch. Or I don't know why he would be worried about that. It's not like I didn't want to smoke cigarettes, so it's not like I would have gone out of my way to run out and buy some. Although, even though I definitely had thought about it, like, it's not something I would have done. So even if I had gone on a lower dosage of the nicotine patch, it would have been totally fine, but whatever. So I'm in the car driving, I'm like, oh, I feel really good. And then all of a sudden I started feeling really bad. It was also like a little bit of motion sickness was amplified and just mixed with the nicotine sickness kind of. And it was a gross feeling. But anyway, after about 5 hours in the car, we got to this, was it like a motel? It might have been like a motel or a hotel. Kind of out in the middle of nowhere in like a small Midwestern town because we had to go through the Midwest a little bit. And I stayed in the room with somebody. It was a 2-bedroom hotel. And my parents had a 1-bedroom where they shared a bed. I think I had a 2-bedroom, and my sister got the bed on the right near the window, and I got the bed on the left near the sink in the kitchen. And this is where it gets really, really weird. Almost hallucinatory. And I'll explain that in a second. So, I had this dream that started off like a very stressful dream. And at this time in high school, I was having temporal lobe focal aware seizures where I didn't know it at the time what they were called or what was happening to me. But the way I told my parents was, I explained it to my parents with my dominant symptoms that, like, throughout class and throughout the day and in the car and pretty much anywhere while I was awake, and sometimes even while I was dreaming, I would have these seizures. And it would be the same experience no matter if I was awake or asleep, which would be that I would start having deja vu either in the dream or in real life. Like, I would be in the middle of a classroom, the teacher would be teaching us something brand new, and I'd have a focal aware temporal lobe seizure, which was a really small, tiny little seizure. It's not a large seizure. It's not a tonic clonic. You don't lose consciousness. It's not a grand mal. It's like it's a tiny little focal aware seizure, and I would have my, aura, and that was the predominant feature of my seizure. So I would have this aura of like and it would be two main symptoms. The first symptom would be deja vu, and I would be convinced that I could see the future and that I knew exactly what was happening, and that this had either happened before, this was like happening before, or basically happening in a looping timeline, more like that. Like I was in a temporal whirlpool, and time was moving in a circle during this temporal lobe epilepsy seizure, focal aware seizure. And that I could predict what was going to happen at the end of this loop, or at the end of this deja vu. Like I knew everything that was going to happen along the way, and that I could oftentimes say word for word what people were going to say. There were multiple times when people were talking to me, and then I would start saying the thing that they were saying almost at the same time or slightly before they were going to finish saying it. It was the scariest thing I've ever experienced. That was the first symptom. Followed quickly by the second symptom was the worst anxiety I've ever had in my life, that progressed to a full-blown panic attack with a symptom of like doom anxiety, like powerful doom anxiety, and conviction of like things were wrong, things are out of place, this is not the right timeline, this is not where we should be in our timeline, this is wrong. And of course, when you're in school and you have parents, there's no way you can change your timeline because you are on your parents' agenda. You are doing what your parents want you to do when you want them to do it. Or if you're in school, it's whatever the teacher wants you to do when the teacher wants you to do it, unless you're bad and misbehaving, in which case it almost make it worse for me. Like I'd be even further off of the timeline, and if that makes any sense. Such a weird thing. So anyway, my dream in this hotel room starts with me dreaming a stress dream about school or the trip or something like this, just a normal kind of stress dream, kind of like the one I just talked about. It might have been being chased, or it might have been something else. And then I begin to have deja vu while I'm sleeping in the dream. The same feeling, the feeling that things are going in a loop, that this dream has happened before, that I know it's going to happen in this dream. And then bam, I would have a breakthrough. And like, I would suddenly realize the stress would build, and I'd become so anxious to the point where I'd hit a certain amount of fear. And what always happens when I hit that level of fear in my dream is that I snap lucid, not awake, but partially awake. So I realize that I am dreaming. Now, this was a different thing. This is where my lucid dream became a full-blown psychedelic experience, and I still can't explain to this day how this is possible, because I was literally just, the only thing that was different is that I was on the patch. I was sleeping, and I was been sleeping throughout the night on the patch, and technically the patch had just worn off in my sleep. And so I was starting to crash. I was having a nicotine crash in my dream that potentially triggered enough stress in my brain to have a focal aware, an FAS, like a tiny aura in my dream. And so, well, I would say a big one. And so as this happened, I started just having many dreams, and bam, I like got hit with a very powerful lucid dream. I saw this Mayan calendar. And when I say a Mayan calendar, I mean like a real ass Mayan calendar with pictographs with hieroglyphics on it that were colorful and that were moving. It was not like, I saw the thing, let me put it this way. I saw the thing that the Mayan calendar is trying to depict. I saw the thing that the Mayan calendar really is. And it's like a multidimensional circular spherical object with a lot of tiny little moving pieces, and it's like a picture. It's like a movie. It's not even like a movie. It's like a, like a puzzle or something. It's like a puzzle, but the pieces can rearrange to tell an infinite number of different stories, and the little pieces on the Mayan hieroglyphs would change, and they'd roll, and they'd shift, and they'd move places. Each row would slide relative to other rows, and it would completely change the context or the semantics of what the calendar was trying to say. And then bam, like the Mayan calendar just kind of exploded backward into this multicolored, psychedelic, twisty, fractal thing that was moving through space and moving through time. And then there were all of these different faces, and this is the first time I've ever seen aliens in my dream, and there were like a lot of them. But I was really scared, and I just shook myself awake. I woke up out of this dream, and when I woke up, I had the sensation of that my deja vu, my dream ended, but my seizure didn't, and my dream was continuing. Excuse me. My dream ended, and I woke up into the real world, and I felt like the dream was continuing, but it wasn't. The seizure was continuing, and I still had the feeling of deja vu. I woke up in my bed. I sat up in my bed in this hotel room, and I was still having this really powerful deja vu. And so I got up and out of my bed, and I was like, this is so bad. Like, I was like, oh my God, I'm going crazy. And this is a common thing that was happening during my temporal lobe. I don't have these anymore, but when I was little and I was having these focal aware seizures, they would immediately be followed by the feeling of, oh my God, I'm definitely going crazy. This isn't real. This world isn't real. Something is wrong about this timeline. And sorry, I just have to take a moment. This is a lot. And then I had this, like, basically a panic attack. Like, oh my God, I'm going crazy. And this is how my deja vus would peak. And so I run into the bathroom, and I'm like, oh my God, something is going wrong. And I look into the mirror, and I get really scared because I see 3 green aliens looking back at me, standing behind me in the mirror. And I was like, oh my God. And I like go and I run into the bathroom, and I pull and I run into the shower, and I pull the shower curtain. Oh, I forgot how traumatizing this was, but I pull the shower curtain, and I stand in the shower. It's not running, and I'm not even naked. I'm just in the shower, and I'm scared really scared, and I'm basically having a psychotic break. And I pull the sheet across so I can't see the mirror, and I can see through the sheet, and I can see the aliens there. Like, I guess you could say I could see like their silhouette through the sheets, or through the shower curtain, excuse me. And gradually over the next 30 seconds to a minute, they start to fade away, and like the whatever was happening in my brain, like the DMT that was still just like flowing, my brain still thinking I'm dreaming, that starts to trickle away. I can actually feel that trickling down like through my spine and like stuff. I can't explain it. I think that was a hallucination as well. But it felt like I could feel it was a weird knowing. I'm like, I can feel the DMT. I actually had this thought, which is so stupid because I'd never done a psychedelic besides weed before. I think I just tried weed before a little bit. I never ever had a hallucination before. And so, yeah, I essentially had this feeling of like something trickling down through my head, and like because I had read something in DMT at the time had just been so popular, crazy popular in the news, mostly in the form of ayahuasca. Everyone was going to South America at the time to do ayahuasca, and I thought it was really fascinating, so maybe I just latched onto the idea of DMT. But I felt like some kind of internal fluid, cerebrospinal fluid perhaps, or something else, was like trickling down my brainstem, my spinal cord, and it was so uncomfortable to like feel these sensations. Like, I don't know why I would ever have these notions. Like, I had these certainties, like I was so certain of these things but no, like it was crazy. Like I shouldn't have been that certain of it. So anyway, after a couple seconds it goes away, but I'm still amped up, and I'm still having basically a panic attack, even though now my dream is, I had this waking dream, but the dream had stopped, like sort of stopped. But after, see, I have this problem where like I can wake up, I don't have sleep paralysis, and I'm still kind of dreaming. Like, it doesn't happen anymore. Especially smoking marijuana for so many years has been very helpful in not having this experience. But especially when I was younger, like I would wake up still being partially in a dream or something like this. So waiting it out helps, and it only took a few minutes really before it went away. But I had been so unsettled and so freaked out by these greens, like these green aliens who were just looking at me. They were looking at me like, something is wrong with you. Like, they're like, we don't normally see this happen to you. Like, and by you, they mean they're your species. Like, they're like, your species, something's broken with your brain. Like, that was kind of, they didn't say it, and they never talk. But they were basically like looking at me like, you shouldn't be out of your body in this way. Like, you shouldn't be looking at this information. You shouldn't be doing this. And like, it almost felt like they were doctors. Like the green aliens were looking at me like doctors. Like, they almost were looking right through me. They could obviously see through the physical dimension. They could see through the shower curtain. And they were just looking at me as long as they wanted to look at me. And they were examining me, but not on a table. I wasn't, more like therapists, if that makes sense, or like neurologists. They were like, not even. There's something else. It's in that realm. They're psychic doctors of a sort, and they're just like, this is not what you're. I don't know if I guess I believe in an astral body. How can I not after these experiences? But I'm such a rationalist. It bothers me using terminology like that. I just feel like I'm going to be laughed at and made fun of. But like, I'm just going to use this term because I don't know what other word to use right now. And if I can find one, I'll use it. But it was like they were looking at my astral body and saying, we need to figure this out. Like, they were thinking this. Like, they weren't putting it on me. They were like, there's something wrong with this one, and we need to figure out why he's doing this. And my dad, I think maybe my sister woke up or my dad woke up, because I guess I had been screaming and I couldn't even hear myself. Like, I was just really upset. Like, I think I was saying, like, reacting to the visual stimuli. Like, oh my gosh. Like I had basically been surprised. I've been really startled. And so my family came in, and they're like, actually now, like, I'm not dreaming. They're like, are you okay? What's going on? Like, are you gonna throw up? Are you sick? Like, why are you in the bathroom? I was like, I'm having deja vu again. I'm having deja vu. I can see things. And they're like, what? And and pretty quickly, and I said, I think the patch wore off. Like, it kind of put two and two together. Like, I couldn't explain what really happened, like what was happening on a higher level to me, but I could explain that maybe my neurotransmitters had been thrown off. Like, that was the best explanation, is like the patch wore off. Like, I'm out of balance. Something is out of balance in my brain now because of this high dose of nicotine patch that I did not need. And this was my first patch. Again, remembered, like, previously in that day, I'd gotten in the car. My parents had been upset. I'd been banned from smoking cigarettes. I was put on this really high dose of the patch, and I'd been on that patch for about like half a day, like 8 hours or however, 6 hours. I don't remember exactly the number of hours, but it was a really long chunk of time. I might have even been my second patch. I might have put on another patch before bed, but it didn't really help a whole lot, because it didn't make it through the night, and like it was really upsetting. It might have been better to just try to sleep without one, but I digress. So they bring me a patch. My dad brings me a box of nicotine patches. I put on another patch, and pretty much I get hit with another wave of like euphoria. I start to calm down, and I do still feel uneasy, but that wears off. Anyway, so that was a really weird segue. But nicotine, I just had to mention this because nicotine, nicotine was a really bizarre catalyst for hallucinations, like a psychedelic trip. So, like, like, really bizarre, really unexpected. It kind of taught me unexpected trips are very destabilizing. They're very, like, shocking, very uncomfortable experiences. So, but I will say that thinking back on that dream and the complexity and the visuals, the colors, it was a really beautiful dream. But like there was a mixture of this like apocalypse theming and a lot of like internet brained theming of like 2012 Mayan calendar, end of the world, ayahuasca. Like these were such popular themes on the internet at the time, at least in like the circles I was looking at. Like I was kind of leaving the Catholic Church and like exploring, and also, well, I dabbled in other Christian religions and felt that they were insufficient, and so I was starting to I was starting to sort of like explore New Age for the very first time. New Age, Unitarian, just like out there wackadoodle type of stuff as well. I had gotten a lot more into astrology and like actually learning it and how to use it. And so because I'd been running in these circles, I think these things were floating around in my brain, and it created a very bizarre experience. So that was not a very fun dream, and actually to this day I think it's one of my weirdest dreams. So yeah, that was a really old one that I suddenly remembered because this dream that I just had cigarettes in it. But there you go. State dependent memory a little bit. Like, it's interesting how a little bit of something from the past can bring up a lot of memories. So there was that. I don't know if I have any more information about like those dreams, or if I can even answer any questions about them. They're from a really long time ago. But you're welcome to ask them if I ever see it, if I ever go back over these dreams, I might remember it. It's good to get this one down. Anyway, I don't think I have any more. I can't remember any of my other dreams from last night, so I don't have anything else to put in here, I don't think. But yeah,